So yeah, this is my level design and scripting project. The game is called Gravity. It's a first-person um, platformer, physics-based, where the core mechanic is that the player can increase and decrease how gravity affects their character. Um, so yeah, this is kind of like the main menu. Just hit play to start the level. So yeah, it was heavily inspired by two key things, I guess, when I was designing the level. Asher Vollmer's four sort of axioms of great tutorial design: comfort, teach, excite, respect, and the four-step level design that Mark Brown outlines in one of his videos about Super Mario 3D World. And I felt that they meshed really well together and were a good fit for a game built around one key mechanic. So yeah, so when the level begins, you've got a short UI pop-up that says, I think it lasts about 3 seconds, saying that you can use WASD to move. Rest of this room, there's no other way out. So, and then the light kind of draws the player down the corridor down here. And then as they move forward, they'll see this UI message just working on a trigger volume. So if you press spacebar, you'll jump, and then you can move past the obstacle. And this is the introduction of gravity scaling here. So if you scroll back on the mouse wheel, you can decrease gravity, and then the player thinks, what happens if I jump now? You get a much longer, but also sort of floatier jump as well. And then you can scroll forwards on the mouse wheel to increase gravity to get back to the ground. So this bit here, this is really all about sort of teaching and comfort according to Vollmer's sort of theory. Just trying to create a nice, safe environment where the players feel free to experiment and fail, and that they're not really punished for making mistakes in this section level. This is like the introduction in the four-step level design. And then through here, we've got the breakable glass panel. So if the player walks over it, they can see into the next room, but they can't get through. So I chose glass for the texture for this because glass kind of forward smashing. It's not as visible as I might like it to be. Like maybe I'd make it cracked or just have a sort of more obviously glassy texture going forward. But they may think, what happens if I try and smash through? Sure enough, this checks the player's Z velocity on collision, and if it's greater than a certain threshold, about, I think it's 2,000 centimeters per second, then they'll smash through the panel. But they need to increase the gravity scale and jump up a little bit to get through that. So that's pretty much the end of the introduction of step one of the four-step level design. And as we head through here, we enter this trigger volume, which plays this animation, this audio clip, this blast door slams down behind us, and this is kind of the point of no return in the level. So this is the end of the safe part of the game. We're now into the development stage, so step two of the four-step level design. So here we're going to start introducing danger and risk into the level. So here we've got this big chasm. The player could potentially fall down, potentially fall off the map. I guess I'll demonstrate that just now. Two possible methods of death in this game, and this is one of them. So if the player doesn't jump or decrease their gravity scale, they'll start to fall down. And eventually, once they fall past the rest of the level, the death screen will appear. So they can quit the application or play again. So I'll quickly run through the rest. Back to where I was. One of the interesting things about this is pretty simple and straightforward once you get the hang of it, but mastery takes quite a while, and so speedrunning might be something that someone might be interested in. So yeah, using just decreasing the gravity scale again to jump across the chasm. But the first real place where the player can die, so don't want to go too crazy difficult just yet. Here we've got another trigger volume with the UI element attached. that tells the player how to sprint. So if you hold shift, you sprint, and this is followed by a long corridor to kind of encourage the player to engage with that. And sprinting will be quite important later on the level as well, once the time pressure is introduced. So here we've got the second part of the development, these red laser fields, and I guess I'll demonstrate those as well. So if the player walks into them again, they die. I'll now edit forward in time to where I'm back there. So one of the laser fields in here is moving, which represents kind of the introduction of sort of dynamic danger. The pit of doom, or the bottomless pit, is a kind of static danger, but here, you know, you've got to think, you've got to time your movements correctly, so it's testing the player a little bit more, testing their grasp and the mechanics. And then this here, this is the power cell, which is an art asset that I made in Maya and then imported into the game. I also imported the ramp and the slide, which we'll see in a wee bit as well. I modeled those myself. So yeah, using green light, which is a bit of a contrast from the rest of the color scheme, to draw the player in, and then they can press F to interact when they're within a certain radius. Doing so causes the light to change to red. Okay, so after several attempts, I've finally made it back through to this point in the level. Gauntlet's still quite hard, even though I've played through it quite a number of times now, but I kind of wanted it to be a challenge, to be a test of skill. So this bit here, this is a sort of stairway with these breakable floors that you're trying to like attention. I'm down to half my time already. I want to make the player feel tense at this point, like they're running out of time. You need to get to the end of the level. The player doesn't really know how far they've got to go either, which is another problem for them. This section doesn't work quite as intended. I think I would need to add air resistance. I talk about that a bit in the portfolio to get it to work how I wanted. Almost died there as well, but made it through. Again, most of the end just reusing scripts from before, and then this is the end level here. So I'll just pause quickly. So pressing the 1 key to pause doesn't stop the timer. Well, that's a bug that would need to be fixed going forward. I just realised that. But yeah, you can either quit or resume. And yeah, when you enter this room at the end here, that's the end of the level. You get this level complete, so you can play again or you can quit the application. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the game, I think. I think I went through most of the scripted interactions. So pretty much the whole game is working in the first person example map. Yeah, the first person example map level blueprint. There's a few sort of scripted objects in the scene as well, like the laser field, and then there's the scripts that are running off the first person character blueprint. So I'm using some scripts from the default blueprint, and then I've added a few more in as well. But all of those should be in the portfolio. But yeah, that's pretty much it.